Hello and welcome to Scalemodeling, and welcome to part 5 of our Revell Type 21 German submarine build. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do, and hit that notifications bell so that you'll get notified of each upload as it goes. And if you're watching this for the first time, I would strongly suggest you go back to the unboxing or even part 1 and watch this build from the beginning to lead up right up to where we are now in part 5. So where we left off last time was starting on the engine room, which will connect onto the back here. Now what I've done is I've painted the floor areas, leaving these because I wanted to paint, they got to be a different colour. So there's two levels. There's that one which is the lower level, and then we have this one which goes that way, which is the upper level. Now these parts in here are all green, as they're all part of the engine, particularly here. That sits underneath like that, basically like that, and then there'll be the engine itself sitting in there, which I haven't started yet. There's a few little pieces that go on the floor, bits of piping, a bit of mechanical stuff, and I'll do them a mixture. But what I did was I didn't have a matching green, so what I did was I mixed up a dark green with olive drab, and turns out I ended up coming up with this, which is just what I want, the perfect colour for the engine. So that will be the colour of the engine, and partly most of the colour of all this as well. You can see those, so I'll colour those. Just to enhance the detail, I will maybe put in now and then just a touch of metallic black, just in a few very, very small spots, either on that part or on here, and probably in a bit of aluminium. We've got flat aluminium as well, and of course the majority of it will be the green that we want to have it. Okay, so I was going to wait until these dry. These are probably not quite dry yet. I'll leave them a little longer. Now I've also painted the walls the usual grey, which also need a lot of decals to go on there as well. So there's two walls, the front and the rear, which is that one. And if we look at the instructions, there's those two walls, and there'll be, 4 or so decals to go on there. A couple on that rear wall as well, and that will finish us with number 44. 43 we're complete as well, though that top piping section there, I have painted it, but if you watched in my last video, you'll see that I'm holding off on that because I need to check on my clearances for the LED light wiring to go through. So then we'll go over to page 44, and these are the little pieces that I've painted up now. There's the floor, there's where those pieces will go, that'll be green. Lots more bits going on that floor area in here, up until 49 where we actually put the two sides of the engine itself together, which is quite nicely detailed and still on the sprue here. There's our engine there, you can see. So that'll get put together, and that will also be the green as well. But that's getting a bit far ahead, but we're getting there. We'll get through all of this eventually. Yeah, so I will just hang back for about half hour or so until these dry a little bit longer, and then I'll start putting the decals on those, and then start working on the floor sections and getting some colour on those engine parts and piping, which if you look at the actual sub itself from the cover art, there it is there, you'll see that there is our engine room, and you can see all those green sections. Of course my green will be close, but a little bit darker, a bit closer to what I've seen of the real reference pictures, but those parts will be the green areas. There's another view there on the ship itself, which is what we're all building up, all this section in here now, including those two walls. Okay, so I'll get on to this and we'll be back very, very shortly. Okay, hello, welcome back. So I just thought I'd show you the decals here. So I've put some decals on, as you can see, these ones here, looking quite good, both sides of that. Now these came with the red outline of that open door in there, but the problem with the decal I found is that it wasn't like, it wasn't a hole, it was just the clear decal plastic underneath the red. Unlike the little red ones here that you go through, they're hollow. You know, it's just the decal's just the red outline that goes on the spot there. But the door for here wasn't, which was a bit silly, because even though it's clear, it's going to be reflecting. You're going to see, like, you know, plastic between the doorway. So just in case you're doing the kit, probably a good idea to trim that off, and if you really want the door frame to be red, paint it, which is probably what I'm going to do anyway. Just paint the inside of the door. And another thing is I'll be doing these now and starting to paint these, because this is all dried up now. And on the info for the lighting of this, I've actually got some of my lighting turned up. Well, the fibre optic part of the lighting turned up. So even though I'm still waiting on the LEDs to come, I got all that. So there's 100 meters of 0.75 fibre optic cable there. Think that'll be enough? I think so. So I picked that up, and yeah, so I should be right to do the lighting I need with that. The 100 meters, well, that's for a bigger project that you'll have to wait for coming up. Anyway, alright, yeah, I will get on with this and we'll come back and have a look at some of this stuff that's painted up. Cheers, guys. Okay, hello, welcome back. So I thought I'd show you some of the bits I've got prepared here for the engine bay. I guess that's what you call it, where the engine is in this submarine. So what I've done here is I just hand painted these up, and they come up alright. I didn't even have to mask up the floor on that. I guess I've still got a steady hand, and they came up quite nice. Now on there's also this little piece with a decal on it. It's a control panel, and that will stand, well, it's supposed to stand on the back there like that. There's a couple of other little panels just here which stand in the front of there. The actual engine, two engines, mount in here. There's a bit of pipe there, see that, and that just goes on top of these bits here. The engines themselves I've just painted up, so they're still drying. There's one. There is some decals to go on that as well, and I may just touch up a little bit of grey in there on them as well. There's also some piping to be attached and those attachment points on the side. It's probably exhaust, I would guess, the exhaust pipe that runs across and goes up into the roof, along the roof of the sub, and then up into the coning tower, which I just thought of. That's what it does and where it goes. The lower section underneath that floor is this, which I've painted up. Got these bits all glued in and all done, and a little bit of silver on there. Sorry, it's not focusing. That's a bit better there. So that's all done. And there's the walls, which you saw earlier. Some of the piping. There's these here, which will need to be painted silver on here yet. I've got to do that. And they mount onto those square points there. There's two of them. There's one there with a green panel on it, and one with a red panel on it. Now I've noticed the problem with these decals on these two pieces anyway is they're a bit too big. Like the coloured part is fine, but then there's the clear bit around the outside that sort of overhangs. So I may try and trim that. Depends on how noticeable it is once they're in. Oh, and there's a couple little pieces there that'll go under the floor as well. So that's where I'm at with that, and as I said, I'm just doing the decals on them at the moment, and when the engine drives I'll put the decals on that, and then and basically put them all on the floor, put the engine bits in there. The exhaust piping is painted and drying, and we'll come back and have a look probably at when everything's mounted on here and it's ready to attach to the rest of the interior. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, welcome back. So as you can see here, the engine compartment is completed, and I've glued it on, and there it is. It's come up really nice. What I'm going to do now is there's actually some piping, which is the exhaust from the diesel engines, piping that runs across here that's painted and ready to go on, but I'm just going to leave that off for the moment because I want to just check on the clearance of the roof of all this to make sure it's all going to fit properly, and the same with this bit here, which is further along, or actually yeah, it actually goes from there on, but as you can see, go all the way along the whole length of the interior here, and there you go, it's all done. Now what I've found is that I want to do some weathering, so I'm going to get the clear coat, and I'm going to clear coat the whole thing and let that dry overnight to make sure it's dry completely, and then we can go along and start putting a bit of grease and grime around that engine, and just a few stain marks around, and scuff up the floor a little bit, and just make it look like it's not so pristine. Yeah, so progressing nicely. I still haven't glued that periscope in yet, but I will do that again as long as I know that the fitting's going to be okay. Alright, so I'll give this a coat now of clear, and then we'll come back and have a look at it after. Okay, cheers, back shortly. Okay, hello, welcome back. So I thought I'd show you what I've done here is I've clear coated this, and also while I was at it I thought I'd clear coat the actual hull as well. Just being a little careful because it wasn't done that long ago, but there's the finish on that. That's looking nice. the same with that one. So that was done with a flat clear coat, and this was done with a semi-gloss. You can see that. It's come up nice in there. So there you go. So what I'll do now is I'm leaving them till tomorrow to dry properly. There's some decals to go on the hull of the submarine, and there's some weathering to do on this. So we'll come back and we'll have a look at accomplishing those tasks. Okay, thank you, back soon. Okay, welcome back. And what I've got at the moment is the sides. I was going to do the weathering, but then I realised there's some decals to put on here. So the open side of the submarine has a few decals to go on here, not many. I think there's only about 4. Yeah, I see 4, and most of them are just like water depth markers. There's all these water depth markers there. So they'll go on here, which I'll put on now. The other side of the sub, which is in the other room, has these longer ones. They go on the side of it, which is here, and we'll do that. There's also a couple of decals, one, maybe just one. Oh, the U2540. So that needs to go on the conning tower, which I forgot to clear coat, so I will do that and put that on later. We've also got this here to go on the stand, which I'll put that on as well. And you might have noticed that we're actually on the last step, 55, because I've jumped ahead a little bit. There is actually quite a bit of stuff to do, like there's some posts to make up around the deck with some ropes, not rope, but chain. Well, we've got to have railings, I should say, railings along there. So I haven't even gone through that yet. But we will. And of course the lighting. Well, I got excited today because I got a message from the post office that there was a package to pick up, and I thought, oh, that's my LEDs. But unfortunately it was just, I'd forgot I'd order more fibre optic cable here, which I now have 120 meters of. Way too much. So if anyone out there needs some fibre optic 0.75 mil, yeah, I've got a heap I can send to you. I'll do you a good price. Anyway, so I'll get on to this. I'll put these decals on and we'll come back and have a look at it before I start on the weathering of this, which is all ready to go. It's all nicely clear coated and ready for weathering. Okay, back shortly. Okay, welcome back. So the decals are done now. Here's the conning tower with the number on the side. And I've even left the cut edge off for where the opening is on the decal. And then there's one on the other side. And then they're still wet because I've just moments ago put that on. There's the decal on the stand, so that looks quite good. And then on the submarine itself, on the hull of it, we got waterline markers there. There's one there, and there's at the other end as well. And the same on the full side that doesn't have the cutout. And we have waterline marker runs all the way along there, and one on there too. That's it. The only decal left is actually the flag. So there's the flag, which I'll do like I do with every other one, is I'll get some aluminium foil and I'll stick it down on the foil, and then we'll fold it in half, and then that'll go around the flagpole on the top of the coning tower here. And because it'll have aluminium foil as a backing, we'll be able to bend it into a shape to look like it's blowing in the wind, assuming it's a windy day and the submarine is full steam ahead above water. Not sure what happens to the flag when it goes underneath. Maybe it's a waterproof flag. Maybe they put the flag up when they submerge, when they come up and surface. I don't know. Maybe you can answer that down in the comments for me, because yeah, I'm guessing a waterproof flag's not going to last long up there, and flapping around underwater is going to make noise, which is the last thing they want. So I don't know. Maybe they just put the flag up on the pole while they're surfaced. Anyway, let me know. Alright, now, so what we're up to now is weathering all the interior here, because as you can see at the moment it's looking nice and shiny, clear coated, and we need to take a bit of that shine off and dirty up these engines a bit and the pipes, and scuff up the floor a bit. You know, just put a few marks around in here and just make it look like it's you know, had some active crew in there. So these submarines didn't actually make it. I don't think they really did much in the war. Most of them were destroyed, and only I think 2 or 3 of them actually got out, and only one saw any service but never saw any action. So I guess they were probably in pretty good nick, but still we'll dirty them up a little bit too. And the same goes with the hull as well. I haven't worked out how I'm going to do that yet, but probably a panel line wash. And what I also would like to do on the hull is, if you look at this, so that's the top of the submarine here, and we've got these, get up closer, you can see all these little things along here. Well, they're actually where the water on the deck drains through and runs off. So as it comes up, or while it's surfaced on the ocean, any water washing on the deck will come out through these. So these would actually be black, and there'd be like some sort of a gauze black grill in there, but the water would come through them. So I need to make them black. And these ones further down, I will have to go to my reference photos and see if they need to be black, or maybe just some panel line colour will do the job on those, and these little vents of some sort down here as well. But the panel line wash will bring out a little bit more of the detail in this hull, because there is quite a bit. Yeah, so I guess I will start on doing some of that, particularly on the interior of this. What I'll do is I'll take, because it's difficult with this camera, it doesn't like focusing too well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some photos of before, and I'll take a before photo of each individual compartment, and then I'll take a photo after I've done all the washing and all the weathering, and we'll be able to put them all up, and I'll show you them, and we'll compare the differences and be able to see what a difference it looks like. Okay, so I'll get on with this, and yeah, be back shortly and we'll have a look at it. mean, I brought you back just for 1 sec, because what I thought is something I haven't done this whole time, which is a bit silly, I should have done it earlier, was I never tried to fit this in the hull. And so I just dropped it in, and to my relief, sits in there, as far as I can tell, perfectly. Nothing's binding anywhere, nothing's touching anything it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's fantastic. Look at that. Here you can see all the paneling on the back of there. So yeah, I'm very glad. I should have done that earlier, but anyway, it's looking good. Now I still haven't decided this part here. There's an option of filling that gap in there where those torpedo tubes are. And if we look at it, we'll just have a quick look at it from the other side. So that's what it's going to look like. And I don't know if I like that, you know. I may cover that completely. It just, yeah, I just don't know if that looks too good. I might cover that. I've got them all painted up and ready on the sprue here. There they are there. So they can just be glued in place. I think I'll do that. But otherwise, yeah, this whole thing is just sitting in there really nicely. Now the deck needs to go on top, but like I said, I'm waiting on the LED lights, so I can't do any of that yet. And we've got to work out space for that. So maybe while we've got things happening here, let's just try this. So here's this part. I wonder if that's going to fit. Looks good so far. Yeah, look at that. So without the deck on, that is fitting there beautifully. Just that will sit in there. Get it accurately in there like that. There you go. There's a preview of what it's going to look like. Okay, that's good. Very good. Alright, I'll get back onto the weathering. Back shortly. Okay, hello, welcome back. So, what I'm doing now is, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of little holes in here that need to be done black. I'm sorry, and I'm trying not to have to paint them because they're really tiny and I want to make it as neat as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm using the Tamiya panel line colour here, black. I'm just touching it in these vents here, and they've come up quite good. I'm just going to wait and see how that dries. And if that goes well, I'll do the same for these little holes, not portholes, but they're vents for water to run out, and they're supposed to be black, so I will do those. There's a few along there too. They're very hard to see, but you'll see them. There you go. So I will touch them with panel line wash and get them to sit in. That's come up nice on those there. I'm hoping that's what they'll look like on the rest. There's another group of them there which need to be done. And then as we go along here, the problem I'm going to have is these ones here are larger, and I don't think that this panel line wash is going to be enough to fill them, so I may have to really see very, very carefully paint those black. They go all the way along. Then we get into some smaller ones again, which the panel line should be able to fill quite well. I will also put the covers on here as well. There they are, sorry. There. Now that's just on that side, that's the exposed side of the submarine. The other side has a lot more. As you can see, they'll come up fine. Get that to focus, there we go. So they'll fill in nice and black with the panel line wash, I'm pretty sure, all the way along. Most of these will here too. just these bigger ones here, I may have to hand brush those ones in, maybe those as well, but the rest, panel line should fill them okay. So that's the plan, to make it as easy and manageable. These are drying okay, and it's coming up. You'll see that. We've only just done that like just minutes before I started videoing, so focus for me. Anyway, they're coming up okay. So I'm going to keep going with this, and we'll we'll be back shortly and see how it's looking. Okay, hello, welcome back. So what I thought I'd show you is how I'm going about doing these vents here where the water comes through. So what I've experimented and found that if I use a bit of panel line wash, and if I just dab that into the little squares like these, that's what I'm trying to fill in. If you can see they've got to be done black. So rather than masking up, which will take forever, especially when you've got all these along here as well, what I've found that if I put just a touch of panel line wash, it forms around the inside, but the circumference of the hole I'm trying to fill. And then I come along with my Tamiya XXI black, which is thinned just a little bit, but still a little bit thick, with my smallest paintbrush, and just touch that very carefully with a very good stable hand into the area, and there's what I end up with. You can see that that's come up quite neat. No need for masking. Yeah, because the outline of the panel line wash is the boundary of where I go with the brush. I just touch it in there and fill it, and I'm happy with it. These other vents I've just left as they are without the black paint, so they're not going to be as dark, but that's fine because these would be under the waterline, as would these, I suppose, as well. But these ones up here I'll be doing definitely darker all the way across. And with the conning tower, there's the result of doing one side with just the panel line wash, just touching it inside each little recessed spot that's there, and that's how it's come up. And I'm waiting on that to dry perfectly, completely, before I start on doing the other side. But that's come up looking quite fine. That's just how I want it to be. Okay, so I'll keep going with this. Of course, I've got to tackle the other side of the hull as well, which has a lot more areas to do. But I'll continue on, and we'll have a look at that when it's all done. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, welcome back again. So here's a view of all the vents all done, all painted black with all the black liner in them. Come up quite nice. That's the full side of the submarine there, and the same is done on the exposed side. You can see that come up all right too. Very happy with that, and it's all looking good. And what I started to do was a little bit of work on the lighting. So even though I don't have the LEDs at the moment, I was just looking at how I was going to light up the conning tower in here. So what I've done is, nothing's glued yet, but there's our deck. So that's going to be sitting on there. What I've done is I've attached the fibre optic here, and it comes out just inside there. That's where the light is, a little hole I put in there. I've glued that in, so that should will light up the inside of there, and then I've run it down through a hole in the deck I put there, and then that's going to be positioned on the deck like that, and that gives me plenty down here to attach to an LED, which will pass the light up into the tower where I want it. So that's where we're at. But that will have to be in part 6, because this part's gone on enough, and plus I don't have the LEDs yet. I'm still waiting for them to arrive. Fingers crossed that's going to happen soon, and I can get on to doing this and planning out where I'm going to place everything. But like I said, yep, that'll be in part 6. So thank you all for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Comments are welcome below. If you've got any comments, anything you want to suggest, or any tips, or if you've built this before, let me know. But we're getting close to putting some lights in this, and that may happen in the next, well, it should happen in the next parts, part 6. Okay. So if you've just joined in this video, I'd suggest go back to part 1 and watch the whole build right through, and even the unboxing as part of the playlist for the German submarine. And all good. I'll see you in part 6. Okay, thanks a lot. See you. Bye everyone.